Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Food by Fire Friday. Today, we're not going to be cooking, but we are going to be restoring some old cast iron skillets and a Dutch oven, a couple of them. Cast iron's really good for cooking on the fire. For one, it's just extremely efficient, holds heat really well. You can cook just about anything, whether you have the cast iron skillet or the Dutch oven. You can make cakes, breads, you name it. But a lot of times, people have cast iron skillets and whatnot, and they just sit around, they don't get used, and they collect a ton of rust. You got to make sure, for one, you're not cooking with that rust, and then you season it after you clean all that rust off of there. So it's definitely a process, but if you take care of your pots and your pans after you've got them seasoned, it's fairly easy to keep them up to par. Maybe every now and then, a couple times a year maybe, depending on how often you use your cast iron. You might want to just do a little re-season. We're going to walk through the process here. Let me show you what we got and what the game plan is, all the steps we're going to go through. And yeah, basically we're going to do this from start to finish. I've got some pretty gnarly stuff here. It's been sitting for a long time. Some of it's my old stuff and some of the stuff that I found here on the property. Who knows how many years it's been sitting here. Probably quite a while. But anyways, let's hop into it. Let's take a look at what we got and let's get to cleaning. All right. So, we've got a couple Dutch ovens here. This guy here, you can see that is just caked in rust. This one's not looking horrible on the inside compared to the outside there. But we're gonna give these guys a good makeover. These two are mine here. These old large skillets. I got this large one here. It's not in horrible shape in comparison to these guys here. But this little one I have, it's in just as bad a shape as these really gnarly ones here. So what we're gonna do, first thing is get this first layer cleaned off of here. We're gonna use some soap and water. You never use soap when you're cleaning these once they're seasoned. But we're gonna use just a little bit of soap right now just for this initial process. But then after that, the only way you'll ever clean these again is just with water. So, all right, let's hop into it and get started. All right, so first things first, I'm just gonna give these guys a good rinse in. All right, so now that we got these guys nice and rinsed off, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a little bit of soap, dish soap here, get it nice, and there we go. I'm gonna grab our handy dandy brush here and get the scrubbing. So really the whole idea here isn't really to clean it. I mean, I guess it's the initial process, but we're not trying to get the rust off at this point. What we're just trying to do is get all that loose debris that's kind of just barely attached to the surface here, get it out of the way. So when it comes time to soak these guys during the next stage of cleaning, the vinegar that we're going to use doesn't have to fight through all that stuff that's just on the surface there. All right, so now we're going to take our white distilled vinegar here. All right, got our vinegar in. All right, now we're just going to submerge everything in the vinegar there. We're going to add some water, make it about a 50-50 mix. Let it sit for a couple of hours, but come out a few times and rearrange everything. Then after you've done that, you'll be ready for the next step. Alright, now that you've let everything soak for a while, you're going to get yourself a drill and a wire wheel, and you're going to hit every nook and cranny on these pots and pans, and then after you've done that, you're going to let them soak one more time. Alright, so that was after our first pass. We're going to hit it again. Now we can kind of see all the spots we missed. So, let's get back to it. So what I'm going to do now, you can see how much better this looks. Now that we got that gunk off of there, I'm gonna let this soak a little bit longer now. And that last soak should help us get the rest of that crap off of there. So I'm gonna throw that back in the vinegar here. And we'll pull out the next skillet and go to town on it. Getting there. Alright, so everything has gotten its first cleaning. Right now I've just got everything sitting in here soaking. You can see it's looking much better than it was. So we'll just leave this in here for another, probably another hour, maybe a couple hours. We'll see. We might get busy with some other stuff, but they're not going to hurt anything if you leave these in here. But anyhow, we'll let that sit, and then once we come back a little later, we will hit it one more time with the drill and the wire brush, and then yeah, then we'll be finished with removing all the rust, and we can get on to the next step. Alright, so day two. Ended up leaving these in here overnight, not because I needed to, just because I got caught up with some other things. I did come out here once in the middle of the night and just kind of rearranged everything. But now we're going to do the second stage of the wire brush, just hit everything one more time, and then after that we will be ready to season these things. So let's hop to it. So we've got our pans and Dutch oven done here. There was the other one, but I didn't have room for it in the original batch, so I'm just gonna do it separate. So it's soaking right now. But you can see we just washed this, and it's already developing a light layer of rust. That's fine because it's not gonna stick. But what our next step is gonna be, we're gonna take these inside, put them in the sink, give them one last quick rinse, get all this thin layer of rust that's starting to form right here off, and then we're gonna bake these at 400 degrees just for about 10 minutes just to dry them, and then we'll be on to our next step. All right, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna take these ones that we've already washed, and you can see they've kind of got that light coat of rust going on them right now. We're just gonna take a fresh piece of this steel wool, give these a good wipe down, make sure we get all that rust off of there. You might have a couple light spots of that rust, but that's all right. We just want to get as much as we can off. When we go through our next step, that's when the rest of it will get removed if there's any remaining. Alright, so we baked them for about 10-15 minutes at 400 degrees. You can still see there's a little bit of rust on them, but that's going to come off with the next part of the process. But what we're going to do now is we're going to just turn the oven off. We're going to let these sit until we can pull them out by hand. So once they're warm enough to the touch where you can handle them, it's a good time to pull them out and get to the next step. Alright, these guys just came out of the oven. They've been in for about an hour and a half, well, about 3 hours. Sat them in there, or I cooked them at 400 degrees for an hour and a half, and then I turned the oven off, let it sit for another hour and a half. I waited till they were cool enough to be able to pull out by hand. But now we're going to continue with the seasoning process. We're going to go grab some Crisco, rub it on here, get a bunch of paper towels, get this rust off of here, and get on to the next step. So, let's do it. Alright, so we're going to try a couple different things here. I've never used the olive oil. I've always used the Crisco shortening. You can use any type of oil, but I've never used oil. Like I said, I've used this, but we're gonna just do a couple different methods here, see which one turns out better, see if they come out the same. But what you're gonna want to do first, get started with one of these. Just gonna put some oil in here. Grab a couple of paper towels. We're just going to wipe this thing clean. Alright, so what you're going to want to do here is just grab yourself a roll of paper towels, pour a little bit of oil into the pot or the pan, and just start wiping it down until you get all the rust off. And do that with each individual one. And after you've got that done, just make sure you have a light coat of oil on each one. And then go ahead and put it in the oven, really anywhere between 400 to 500 degrees. Cook it for about an hour, hour and a half, and then let it sit for another hour, hour and a half so that you can touch it, and then pull it out and do it again. You're going to repeat the process about 3 to 4 times, and you'll know it's done once you have a nice shiny black surface. Alright, so we got our first layer of oil on there. We're going to go ahead and cook these at about 400 degrees for about an hour and a half, and then we'll pull them out and we'll do the process all over again. Alright, these are done baking. We're going to let them sit for a little bit, pull them out, repeat the process, and probably do that 3 or 4 times. Alright, so we finally finished the process. Took a couple of days, had a lot of things going on, but we did get it done. Ultimately, after we started the process of putting on that coat of oil, putting them in the oven, and then pulling them back out, coating them again, we ended up doing that 4 times. That's what it took for me to get that solid black shiny surface on all of them. So once I got that done, I knew I was ready to rock and roll. So let me show you guys what we ended up with, and you guys can tell me what you think. All right, skillet number 1. This is our little baby skillet here. This is by Lodge. Let me show you guys a good little close up here so you can see the characteristics of a finished pan here. You see it's nice and shiny all the way around. There's no rust anywhere. See if I can get a good focus here. There we go. So that's how that should look when it's finished. Let me show you guys the rest of them. Skillet number 2. This is the other Lodge one. This one was mine. You can see same as the other one. Nice shiny finish, solid black all the way around. No rust anywhere. Got all the cracks and crevices real well. So there's that, skillet number 2. And item number 3 is our Dutch oven here. We did have the 2 of them, but like I said earlier, we only had room in that tub for so much cookware, so we just left one out. I'll handle that another time. But let's take a close-up of this one. See how this one turned out. You can see it's the same as the rest. Nice, solid, shiny black surface all the way around. Ready to rock and roll. And of course, a Dutch oven needs a lid. So here it is. You can see it turned out just like the rest of the pieces there. Shiny, black, solid all the way around. So there you have it, guys. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. That about does it here today. Took 3 days. But anyhow, we finally did it. Hope you guys liked the video. Hope you guys can put this to use. Maybe you have some old cast iron laying around. Now you know what you can do with it. Again, if you did like the video, give it a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. Any kind of feedback, comments, anybody who gets in touch with me, I'll absolutely get in touch with you guys. So subscribe to the channel as well. I always appreciate new subscribers. After you subscribe, hit that bell notification button. That'll let you know every time I post a new video. That way you can stay up to date with all of my adventures, different how-to videos, things I got going on. So again, you guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, we'll see you out there.